I'm an Albanian-American. There's a lot of me that's Albanian, there's all of me that's American. Albanians were part of a tribe called the Illyrians, 18 tribes of what used to be all of Europe, and now are dwindled down to what is known today as Kosovo, Macedonia, portions of Montenegro, and Albania as a country in itself. So we've become a small group of people. At one point we used to be a very large group of people, and part of that is because each time a new era came in, a new ruling force came in, a lot of the Albanians were assimilated into those other cultures and lost their own. So our parents knew that historically Albanians can very easily lose that which they come from. So they worked very hard to maintain that. But at the same time, if you understand your culture in that way, you also understand that if you work hard to maintain your culture and your ethnic backgrounds, you can assimilate into a new culture. You can become part of something different. My name is Celia Resnick, and I was born in what used to be the former Yugoslavia, in a portion called Montenegro, which is the Black Mountains. Now it's actually an independent country. At about the age of 4, we left Montenegro and decided to come to the United States. My father's idea was that coming to America would provide a lot of opportunities for us.
I was born in Brooklyn, New York, in the Kensington section of Brooklyn. My dad actually, he's one of 4 brothers, and he was the first to say, I need something more for myself. Back in Montenegro, they didn't have much, and he knew that he needed to flee. And he said, I've got to try something new. I want to make sure that my kids have more freedom than I do here. So he came across and he said to his dad, I spoke to my grandpa about this, and he said to his dad, if I succeed in America, you all will succeed in America.
My name is Celia Resnick, and I'm 12 years old. I'm turning 13 in August, and I was born here in Staten Island, and I've grown up here. I'm going to go to Mirage Islamic School for high school, and I'm going to be one of the first class, to graduate into high school.
When the Albanian community decided to buy the property where the mosque is located at this time and where the Mirage Islamic School is located, I had gotten involved with my wife and myself. I was a teacher at that time, so I had time off during the summer. I decided to help them, voluntary, and for several months I worked there. When we started that project, I never would have imagined that my daughter would be attending a school there one day. I assumed it was going to become something very simple, a mosque or a community center where people can go every once in a while. And then you find out that, years later, my daughter is at that school. My wife is now teaching. My daughter has now graduated the 8th grade from that school. So as a community, the Albanians have come together, purchased that property, built that structure, and now have provided my daughter with an education. And that's going to continue because, as we said earlier, she's been accepted to many other schools that are public schools and even private schools we could afford to send her to. She just doesn't want to go anywhere else.
My name is Zulkarnain Vardar. I'm Imam and the president of Albanian Islamic Cultural Center. And I born in Macedonia. People from here, they invite me to come here. And we start to know each other more and better. And they love me and I love them. And they said, after you finish in college, please, you can come here and we can work together here. And I was thinking, we have to do something better for the community to save them and to educate their children, our people, to be more helpful for themselves and to others. And we start in 1990, and we bought this land. It cost around $475,000. And we start to go house by house to ask them to give us money. And we collect this money for 3 months. And we bought this land and start to build in 1992, the new building. And we opened the mosque in 1995. In 1999, we opened the school with 3 grades, pre-K, kindergarten and first grade, with 5 students, 5 children. 3 of them was my kids. and every year we add one class. Now we are in 8th grade, alhamdulillah. Next year in 2007-2008, we'll open the high school. Now we have 220 students.
Best thing about the school is how the teachers treat us, and how you make friends, and they also care about you here in the school.
I like that the teachers are very caring. When you're sick or anything, they care about you a lot, and they might even call home to make sure you're okay.
They're really caring, like the teachers, they care like a lot.
It has high academics, and it brings your religion into it, so you don't only learn the knowledge of like where you can learn math and English, but you can learn the knowledge of your religion. So it's equal balance between, like it says in the Quran, 1 hour for yourself, 1 hour for religion.
I believe that every single teacher, whether it's a male or a female in the school, is a role model for my students. And all my teachers, with no exceptions, are highly educated, and they've already either worked in the school or outside in the outside world with different careers or as teachers. And being just a role model for the students, it shows them that we value education. We put so much stress on academics so that they would have the same feeling like us, that we do value education and we want them the best in the market, or as they say, the top of the cream.
We have a lot of parents that come in here and we speak Albanian to them, you know, and we just know everything that's going on in the Albanian community because of the mosque. You know, they send mail, you know, letters home to us in the mail, you know, telling us everything that's happening in the community.
This is the mosque where we pray, and we have like 14,500 square feet in this place, and in one shot they can pray like 2,500 people.
And I am the director of Mother Teresa Center of Our Lady of Shkodra Church in Hartsdale, New York. Mother Teresa Center was started in 1999, the church, when we started our new church in Hartsdale. And we named the church after Shkodra, which is one of the main cities in Albania. Then we decided our center should be named after Mother Teresa. I mean, the whole world was using Mother Teresa, and she was Albanian. Why not us using it? And the beauty of this day is that although it's organized by the church, everybody shows up, Muslim, Orthodox, Catholic, regardless of religion. And really nobody knows here who is what religion. We are just Albanian.
When you're in America, you kind of forget a lot of things as far as like coming from other countries. But with Albanians, you know, we know who we are, and we know that we can never forget where we came from.
I try to come, you know, all the time when they have them, and I like to support, you know, my community, and just, you know, because I'm a role model to some of the kids, and I love it.
Every single stop that means something is like a history. In a war before, when they fighting, this one they call chefin, they put the people anywhere where is the war, where he died, they just cover with this and they put in the ground. That's why they carry this. The dance, fight That means like a fight, how they fighting with the soldiers before, and they little by little they turn to the tradition dancing, how they did. And that's why we try keep it in life so much we can. We can make 100%, but at least closer 95% to not forget us tradition, culture.
I love the way they dance. Like, I think the dances that they do are like amazing.
Events like this, you know, we're allowed to showcase our culture and our heritage and everything. So events like this should definitely be kept.
The weddings that we throw, which are still, the culture and the traditions are still found across the United States. It's quite elaborate, but it's also quite a spectacle. We dress up in a certain attire, and you'll notice us coming down as a group down the street as we're coming towards the bride's house and singing songs and just expressing a lot of joy and dancing in the streets. So a lot of the times people will say to me, "Oh, you're Albanian. Did you get married the same way my friend down the block got married? Wow, what an event. We thought it was like the 4th of July or something." So that still goes on. I'm very surprised, but it still goes on even among the younger generations. Even though I was born in the United States, born and raised in the United States, I always felt that it was the proper way to have an arranged marriage. My mom and my dad had selected my husband, and we got to know each other, and we've been married ever since for the past 18 years now, and that's pretty much it. Our wedding was unlike most weddings, because usually in an Albanian wedding, or at least back then, the bride, and still today you'll find this to be the case, the bride really didn't get to enjoy her wedding as much. She was standing like a statue and just being the center of attention with the groom in the one location. But today that's changed. A lot of brides and grooms are out there dancing, having fun, just like your typical American wedding.
I can tell you very honestly, very often I think that my parents love my wife more than they love me. And I've seen my wife, when we used to have a garden out here, she'd be out here with my father planting cucumbers and peppers and flowers and trees and everything. And I haven't ever heard my parents say one negative thing about my wife, which is very unique and very different. And unfortunately, that's actually changing. And as my wife said earlier, the idea of our marriage is not that she and I are only invested in it, but it's both of our families completely invested. And now it's changing. It's becoming more of, well, does he like her and does she like him? Have they chosen each other? And that's all that's important. And so it makes it much easier, if there is a problem, for those two people to part ways.
My father-in-law takes care of everything around on the outside of the home. The fruit trees, as you saw, he takes care of the garbage, the shopping. On the weekends we'll shop, but throughout the course of the day, if there's anything we need, milk or bread, butter, anything, he just steps out and brings that home. My mother-in-law is the cook in our house. She's always cooking. I know I prepared a meal for you, but if you tasted hers, it would be 100 times better than what I served here today.
When I was small, my grandparents raised me while my parents were working, so I think we're really close. And when they go to Europe, I always miss them, and I love seeing them every day.
We would not have been able to complete our college degrees or even get started with our careers if it hadn't been for them. I remember giving birth to her and then 4 months later getting back into the workforce. So my mother-in-law really did raise her. It's only been the past 2-3 years that we've spent a great deal of time together here at home, and I can do more of the motherly duties here at home because in the past she's been their child more than ours. We've never really spent that much time together. He's always working, I was always working, and now we're just enjoying every moment of it. So we owe a great deal of gratitude and thanks to my mother-in-law and my father-in-law.
I think, I'm sorry, I think a lot of that helped us in other ways too, because Celia would be able to speak Albanian and English, so she was bilingual from an early age, because my mother and father would speak to her in Albanian only, and we would speak to her in English, so she picked up both languages and knows both languages equally as well.
Well, both of us have got cousins right down the block. My brother-in-law, my husband's brother, is right down this block here. So we, in Staten Island, we can't go that far without coming across an Albanian home. So they're scattered throughout.
And also, next door here, they're Irish. Across the street that way, they're Italian. We have a new family that just moved in across the street. They happen to be Turkish. We have an older couple, which is now just she's alone, but they were Italian.
And one of our neighbors last summer became very protective of our pear tree. He was always keeping an eye on it, making sure that people weren't pulling or tugging at it the wrong way so as not to break a branch. And each time we'd come back from Montenegro, he'd tell me that I gave so-and-so pears, or I gave this one peaches. And the fact that he took ownership during that period we were away just made me feel good. I feel like I can rely on my neighbors here, and that's a very, very wonderful feeling.
We consider it a good thing to do. You plant near the fence line or the road line, because travelers, passerbyers, should be able to stop and have an apple from your tree, or a pear from your tree, or a cherry from your tree, or a bit of grapes from your grapevine. And that's been culturally something that's been put into us and taught by our parents and our grandparents, that whatever it is that you have, in order for it to become halal, in order for it to become more abundant, you need to share with people. You can't have just for yourself. Our peaches come in or our apples come in, my wife bags them and drops them off at the neighbors, so the neighbors get a chance to taste a little something.
This is a grapevine, and there's little grapes coming out now. And then my mom, she likes plants, so she just plants a whole lot over here. And then further down, we have strawberries over here, and they're actually really good. And this is just more plants. And there's another grapevine over here. There's a lot of them actually everywhere. And then this is like some more, this is some type of mint from Europe over there, and some roses, and then more plants and trees and bushes. And this is also like a nectarine tree. And this is also a nectarine tree. That tree right there is a pear tree. And then over here we have what we call vishnia. And they're like sour cherries, almost like cranberries. And then another grapevine. And in my dog's pen there's a plum tree. And there's more peach trees on the other side, and fig trees. That one's a fig tree. And they're all really good when they come out during the summer. He's 7 in human years, so he's 70. Actually, he's 10 in human years, so he's 70 in dog years. And, you know, he came, like, we got him when he was a little puppy, and we just grew up together. Now, I love him a lot. And he's the best.
And I don't want you to think that the grill is dirty. I leave it like this on purpose, so that this way it's seasoned all the time. Whenever you want something quick but very tasty, the barbecue's your best bet. Within 10 minutes you have a meal, and anybody and everybody can watch and they can see how it's prepared.
Yeah. He does the grilling outdoors and I do it indoors. Today I'm going to make for you an authentic Albanian dish known as grosh. And we begin by letting beans soak overnight. This is known as smoked beef, a very popular Albanian food. In the meantime, I'm going to take this, the beans that I've washed, put them in this huge pot, half an onion and 2 tomatoes to give it flavor. Fill it up with water and let it sit for 3-4 hours. You want to keep a medium flame, not too high. Here we have yaprak, the grapevine that you see outside. I've pulled about 50 leaves. I've soaked them, drenched them in hot water, and I ended up making a special herb filling for them. We have something known as Pita, and you would always find Pita in an Albanian household. You have in here spinach, you have sour cream, and the dough we knead ourselves, and we put it together, so it's very popular amongst many Albanians. It's time consuming, as is the other dishes, but once you sit down and eat them, they're worth the time. Over here, we have another very popular Albanian dish known as bukala mochit. In English, you would just refer to this as cornbread, but we've basically just added eggs and milk and flour, and there we have our cornmeal bread. The moment we got home from school, we would eat with my mom, and then an hour later she was off on a train heading to the city. She had gotten into the cleaning business. They didn't know how to speak the language. My father ended up driving a taxi, so while he didn't speak the language, he knew every single street in New York City. They did something that most Albanians did back then, which was they locked their children in the houses. They didn't have babysitters at the time, so we had to discipline ourselves.
My father always felt that it was important that we keep a connection between the United States and Montenegro. So my first trip was when I was 8 years old. 4 years after we had been here in the United States, my father was able to save enough money to take us all back as a family, and we stayed one summer for 1 month. And it was kind of odd because my father's a farmer, so he comes from a farm area. So we went on the farm. So we got back to the idea of seeing goats and sheep and cow and horses and things like this. So for an 8-year-old, being in the country was really exciting. We stayed for a month. Then about 2 years later, my father decided time to go again. We went back again, but at this time I was 10, I was a little bit older. So at that point, I started riding the horses and milking the cows and, you know, feeding the cows and doing a lot of different things. So it really became interesting. So we had an opportunity to see that Montenegro was a great place. It was a beautiful place. So as we got older, even if my parents didn't visit the summers, my brother and I would save our money and we would go ourselves.
And my father always tells me stories about why he loved Albania. My mom, she didn't really go there when she was a kid, but now that we go more often, she loves it too.
America is a country made of people coming from other places, made up of many religions and many ethnic backgrounds. And I think what happens with most cultures is when they come to America, it's not that they decide to give up things, they're forced to because they need to provide for their family. So both husband and wife need to keep a job or sometimes 2 jobs each, so their children are being raised without parents. Being an American to me means that you need to work and provide, and you need to give back to the community, you need to give back to those that are in need.